Hey, yo,
Yo, what's up? How you doing, everybody? This is Fat Jesus Live, coming to you late night. It's 12 a.m. right now. We were going to start at 11, but we were just getting ready and set up. We got a banger for all of you. It's going to be a long, long night. We're going to be talking about something amazing. Go ahead and take it, Rebirth.
all right, so it's actually interesting because usually I do these in the morning or in the afternoon time.
It
But
is morning.
well, like 7, 8 o'clock, 9, 10 o'clock. But my allergies have been bothering me a lot lately. So,
I think the allergy's been bothered by you. The
so
germs were like, we're tired of these humans.
man, I'm telling you, bro, it's been bad lately. That's why I haven't been going live lately. But since I was like, man, I'm doing pretty good, so I was like, I'm up, I have energy, So I decided to pick out one of my books, what I've learned from reading this book. So today's book is this one right here, the destruction of Black civilization, great issues of a race from 4500 BC to 2000 AD. This is actually a pretty interesting book. It's by Chancellor Williams. Um, I've read it at least probably like 3 or 4 times, and I gotta say I've enjoyed the book. I mean, it's very interesting. It gives you, you know, um, time frames of what certain things happen at a certain point and stuff like that. But what was interesting to me was it says from 4500 BC, and that usually is much older
Whoa, whoa,
than,
whoa. Why are we going so far back? What's going on here, man?
and that's what
45. I wasn't even alive back then. What's going on, brother? Maybe 45 minutes ago. Why are we going that far back?
but
That's
see,
before Christ.
but and that and that's like almost how it hits you. It's like, dang, how does it go back 4,500 years? Because the
Were we
Sumerians,
alive? Were we alive back then?
that's what people, and that's what most people's thoughts are. Because then you got the Christians who only believe 6,000 years ago, and then you got the people who believe the Sumerians are the first civilization, so there wasn't anybody civilized or a civilization before them. But then you hear, the destruction of a black civilization. But let me ask you this, because I always ask this question to everybody: is
Knock
what
it
is
out.
your what is your definition or understanding, or what is needed to be considered a civilization?
Civilization. Well, in my class, a civilization is um a cultural civilization is a group of people, more than two, of course, that is built on basically language basically they have gathered up enough um information that where they start building upon themselves, and they make the area a concrete area and call it their home. They're not wandering all over, and they don't know where they're going to be staying. So there are some civilizations where they like the American indigenous people, they wander along the continent, but there's a reason why they did that. They did that because they wanted to stay close to the hunting and also the weather. So if you're located up north, it was winter up north. So they, just like geese, they would travel southward, and then they would be staying down southward. And that's how they would just now I find it kind of hard for um because when it comes to indigenous Americans, uh, this is where they come clashing with other indigenous Americans. And when they run into other tribes, because they start growing, they start warring with each other because of the amount of food, or this is their land, or this is their property. You, you have to steer away from this area. So they had to respect boundaries. And if by definition today, those boundaries have been really determined by the United States of America. But there, and back then, before the United States or the colonies ever existed, those boundaries were defined by the indigenous Americans. Those indigenous Americans had boundaries set up between each civilization, each social, cultural civilization. And now, indigenous Americans, we're not going to separate them as like two separate civilizations. They're just one whole civilization. So that question now becomes even more detailed. How do we define them as something different? Or are they different? See, we're human. So are we human civilization all over the world? Black, white, Asian, African? What are we? I mean, culturally, we're different, but we're all in the same makeup. We have a heart, we have lungs. You flip us in and out. We're pretty much have the same thing. You go to a doctor, we're the same, inside out. We are the same. That's why they're able to when we go to the hospital, they can treat us all pretty much the same. Some of us have different blood types. So are we going to separate each other with blood types? So you're A and you're B, so you can't go to this hospital because you're a B blood type, and then A blood type has to go to a different hospital. So who's controlling what in society, cultural society, and what's the definition is based on the society itself. And I believe that's what you've been looking for when you were asking the question, how is it defined? I think it's defined by the society itself that is um currently ruling over on the land, in the land, and defines the rules itself on that land. And then it's decided by the people itself also on that land. And that's why you have wars, and those wars are to redefine those rules. And those rules, and you could see, and you have revolutions to redefine those rules, to because people don't think it's fair. So
Yeah.
that's what you were looking for. I went overboard there.
Nah, it's important because the definition of civilization has changed over the years. There was always things that was added to it. You can't take away. I mean, you were in the military. You can always add to. You just can't take away, right? You can't take this away. You can't take this away. You can
Oh,
add to it, but you just
yeah.
can't take away.
Yeah, so they say the stage of human social and cultural development organization that is considered most advanced. That's pretty much the universal definition. The process by which a society or place reaches an advanced stage of social and cultural development and organization. Now, I beat around the bin. I just try to give you a whole long layman's term perception of what I was just telling you. Who defines and who rules over the land, and then when they war over each other, who's gonna win and who's gonna make the new rules is gonna be the new ones that are gonna adapt on that land is the next one. But today, what's going to be cultural? Well, right now AI is the new defining. I think AI is the new defining rule. And the internet, that's another thing. You got to think about that. Man, there's so many things right now. It used to be about cars. Don't you remember the how people love cars back in the 50s, in the 60s, and even in the 70s? People love their cars. Men love their cars, right? And so people would battle in arenas with cars. They would go to the sports arenas and race cars around tracks, and they would define themselves with their country. This is USA, this is Italy, this is Russia,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
who had the best cars, and that was cultural. That was cultural. And now these days it's more like who's gonna crash. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
so defining what a civilization is, like I said, I think this book right here, adding this book to today's discussion, for what I've learned from reading this book. I think it's important because it says the destruction of black civilization. So that to me, when I read that as a title of a book, how I understand it is that this is how black civilizations from around the world were um, destroyed by whatever whatever we'll go over. It's just interesting to me because the word black is a word that causes a lot of arguments. You know, people will say, that's not black, that's black. Look, it's always a black. It's very controversial and
That's
it
true.
gets, it gets people very upset.
Why
But
is
what I
that?
tried to do was I tried to find what is the meaning behind black because no matter in different groups, you got different ideas of what black is, right? You got black American. Some will say I'm not black American, I'm African American. Some will say I'm not African American, I'm black American.
I wasn't born in Africa. Why are you calling me a African American? Don't send
Yeah,
me back to Africa. I'm not going to go in chains, you know?
yeah,
Are you going to put me on a boat again in chains to take me back to Africa? That's the thought process of Black Americans. Because now, what's happening today? What's happening today? They're arresting minorities in the United States, anybody that looks like a minority, and they're sending them over the border. They're putting them on planes. And they're Americans. They are U.S. citizens, and they're chaining them up. They're putting them in gates, and they're sending them off. And then they have to fight in the other country that they don't even belong to just to come back. And they are Americans. They're U.S. citizens, bona fide U.S. citizens. It's absolute insanity, bro. Insanity. And if they go after the Hispanics, who's next? Who's next? The Africans. And they go after the Africans. Who's next? The Asians. Who's next? It's going to be the island people. It's going to be who else? Until there's nobody left, because once you start down that road, it's never going to end. That's why people are fighting against it, and that's why we had so many fights throughout the 100 years. I mean, so many Black Americans have been fighting and have lost their lives. Rest in peace. Have lost their lives and giving us freedom. And the little bit of freedom that we have today is a lot of freedom. I mean, we actually have a lot of freedom in comparison to them, but still, it feels like we're going backwards today.
yeah. So yeah, that it does sometimes in some ways. Especially just seeing how I grew up, But that's interesting you bring all that up because what's so interesting to me is that even in this book right here, is so funny. No matter what book that I'm reading,
That's a great book. Who's
no
the
matter
author of that book?
Chancellor Williams.
That's Dr. Chancellor Williams. I know that is Dr. Chancellor Williams. I was actually looking that up the other day. That he's super smart. Wrote about a whole thing, like as civilization from all the way 8,000 years ago. What a whole bunch of research. He put his whole life. Rest in peace. He's no longer with us anymore, but he put his whole life into that book. And he put so much research into that book, and we're about to talk about him, huh?
Yeah, and yeah, because when you said how they always say black Americans, and I was always talking about what is described as black, I usually see it as anything that's like light brown to dark brown skin. Anybody with that like light brown to dark brown. And in this book right here, no matter what book that I'm reading, because I'm so fascinated with the Sumerians and Sumer, it doesn't matter what book I'm reading. Somehow it always quotes Mesopotamia, and sometimes, a lot of times, the Sumerians. The first tab that I hit up on this one was what became of the black-headed people of Sumer. The traveler asked the old man for ancient records show that the people of Sumer were black. What happened to them? Ah, the old man sighed. They lost their history, so they died. And this is a Sumer legend, but he's saying right here that the Sumerians were black. Now,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people will argue and say no, they're not. Um, I actually wrote an article on there about their possibilities of what they were and all this. Um, but just to read that is just like, man, where did you get this information? And I can tell you right now, and like, because this is your first time actually seeing how I do this. Even though I read something, doesn't mean I agree with it. And I will call something out in the book if I feel like I feel like it's exaggerated or whatever the case may be. But for this part right here, this is a good example. I never was able to verify this Sumer legend. Now I've also read from other people who have read books from Chancellor Williams and other individuals say this Sumer legend, but I've never seen it outside of those people. So it's almost like where did
Now,
this come from?
for some of you that want to know, he passed away in 1992, December 7th of 1992, from respiratory failure, but he was 98 years of age. He lived a very long life. 15 days shy of his 99th birthday. So just an amazing life he lived. And he's buried in Lincoln Memorial Cemetery in Suitland, Maryland. So he stayed close to Washington, D.C., that's for sure.
Yeah.
He was close to the heartbeat of America. He didn't see what happened to our country. That's the thing.
Yeah, that could be a good thing or a bad thing.
I mean, can you imagine if he was alive today? What would he write about? What would he write next? That's the thing I think about the most. The people that have passed away before our country has moved forward. And what would they, because people we have to pick up the torch and write. And that's what you do, Rebirth. Rebirth writes books. And if you guys want to go to Amazon, amazon.com, and you can actually purchase his books on Amazon. And they're very interesting, very good books. And if you want to plug in your books real quick, you can. They're just really good. And they will, he has already written a couple new ones there. And I don't know if you posted them yet on Amazon.
Yeah, I think I only got one review on there so far. If I'm not
Hopefully,
mistaken.
hopefully you get some more. You should put
No, I
on
got
some
three.
reviews.
I got three, but one written down. So
All right.
one, I got 5 stars, and
And
one
you
was
also have a number
written.
one bestseller too.
Yeah, buddy, you know it.
So yeah, I mean, you are watching a bona fide bestseller writer and a very knowledgeable YouTuber, and someone that is boots on the ground that goes out and researches and videos and tells you how it is. He doesn't like just goes out there and just waves, goes out and cooks some McDonald's fries
Yeah, man, no
and just
sugarcoating,
waves and
bro.
vote for me,
Yeah,
and then just goes back home and play some golf. No, that's not him. You know, he just basically he just throws his whole self into it and just gives you everything that is about the subject and just reports it back like a real journalist. Really, I'm telling you, man. It is so amazing to be a close friend of yours, and thank you for having me on your show.
man, bro. I'm glad we're gonna start doing this more often because we was just talking about this since we both are up anyway. So
Hey, do you want to see my new hiking boots? By the way,
yeah, Yeah, let's
Yeah,
check
I
them out.
mean, I know we're talking about a book and everything like that. Does everybody want to see my new hiking boots? Because we're going to be talking about boots on the ground because we are going to be going hiking in the Black Mountains and see some cryptids. Now, I don't know if we're going to see cryptids or not. I don't some changelings. I don't know
Might,
if they're real or not, but but I want to make sure I have the boots to take off, and you better keep up.
bro.
That's all I got to say, bro. You better keep up. So
Hey, it'll be that day. It'll definitely be that day.
I wouldn't blame you if you took off from me. I'll tell you that right now. I would say, bro, wait up. Nah, just keep running. I
Nah, I'm
don't
gonna
blame
be
you.
good. I ain't tripping. Shoot, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
you
be
don't have
good.
to defend
Where
me.
we
So
at? North Carolina? Yeah, I'll be good.
so I bought these, but I don't like them. They're from New Balance. They were on sale for $80. And that's a normal cost of a shoe these days. And these are actually hiking shoes. And and you can see the tread on them. And they're for pretty rough terrain. And they're no slip terrain. So this is for mud and everything like that. New Balance makes some really good shoes, but I bought them wide, and they don't feel wide at all. I put my foot in there, and this little tip part that doesn't feel good at all. I didn't like it, so I'm returning these, and I don't like them. And that's the review on this one. I really do like their design. I love how wide it is on the sole, but on inside the shoes doesn't feel right. So unfortunately, they missed it. They missed the mark on. I don't want it to hug. I don't want a hugging sock. And then here's these shoes. These are good. These are orthopedic. These are called Ortho Comfort, and these are boot like. Oh, I just cut myself from the box. The box got me. It bit me. Check these out.
Oh yeah, that looks smooth.
Yeah, and look at the width on that. And look at the width on the toe. It looks kind of big and bumpy looking, but I mean, I'm not going for a beauty contest. I mean, I got a lot of space. It looks like I'm Bigfoot, actually, but yeah, but it has a lot of toe space, and I have wide feet, so I'm telling you, this I put it on, and it felt great, and my toe does reach the end right here, and it's just wide, and this is perfect. So it comes with some different soles in it. So if the ones that they have in there, the ones that they have in here, and it comes nicely packed too. If you look at it, I'll probably even bring the socks with it if we go camping. That way, put them in the tent like that. I can't believe the box bit me.
All right.
I'm bleeding a little bit. And here's the hiking sticks.
Yeah, you're showing me.
Carbon fiber. They're super lightweight. Yeah. I showed them last time, but I'm not sure if I showed them on your show. I showed them Tridactyls.
Yeah,
But
I'm trying to
here's this. Yeah. So, and one more thing.
You done got the whole setup. That's how you do it, though. That's why I say, man, it takes a lot of money to do this stuff.
That out.
Oh, you bought it? Yep, that's what it is. It's supposed to be for the camera.
Camera.
Yeah.
The camera goes right here. So you guys can see me live.
Yeah.
Right there. So I'd be walking around. So when you see me running.
Nah, that's better because that way I need something like that. Send me where you got that from. Because I need something like that because I get tired of holding that gimbal machine that I be having.
Well, my hands will be empty. I mean, it has the clips on the side. It's really sturdy, and it's aluminum. It has all these holes in it. I can't pick this up in front of it, but you see it has all these CNC screws, you
Mm.
could actually put in some arms. You can put in arms in here to stick up, like a little monitor, little arm monitor right here.
More accessories.
And on the back over here too.
Yeah, so
Or
more
you could
accessories.
or you can make this the back. You can make
Yeah,
this the back and not the front. So it could
yeah,
follow you. You could have people follow you and stream. And that
yeah.
could be the front.
That'd be perfect for the gimbal machine.
And this can go from here to straight up. So it could be above my head. And it actually extends really far out. Check this out.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Periscope. It could periscope.
Send me a link of where you getting that at.
I sunk too much. I owe money now. I have to pay it off in 4 months.
Nah, I need you. I need you to
But it's a necessity for me to have for hiking and streaming. That's why I bought it, because I need these two hands and I have a dog. So at the same time, I have a leash that goes around my chest. I got my dog to deal with. I got my two hands and I got to walk with the walking sticks. And I don't want to deal with all the other stuff. So I need my balance. And I want you guys to see me when I'm talking, when we're doing all this wonderful stuff. So yeah. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so I just found out that on my gimbal machine, I can have the video where I want to record at, and it will have me on the bottom left corner. So I have picture in picture basically in there. So I just found that out. But I'm gonna go to the.
You know what would be even better than my phone?
What's that?
Would be a 360 camera, the 4K 360.
I'll send you a link to one that I know of.
Well, I know the one that's really expensive, that where you could change out the lens and all that. It just came out, and it's an Action 360 camera. It has like 4K and all that stuff, but it's so expensive. It's like $600. So it's like,
yeah. This is about
but the thing is, the reason why I like the 360 is because I don't have to flip the camera around. The camera is already filming the front and at me at the same time. So it's filming me, but it's also filming the front. So when I edit the video, I could edit anywhere. I could edit the front, I could edit the back, I could do both ways. So when I'm talking or narrating the video, it would be better for the viewers or you guys. So this is all streamer stuff, but it's for you guys, the viewers, so you can enjoy what we see in a 360 environment, but you guys are watching it on a 2-dimensional screen. So we're trying to bring a 360 environment more so to you, and we're trying to figure out the best way possible, and we're spending the money for it. And hopefully you would enjoy the content we bring, so that way what we say will actually come out the way we see, and then what you see will make sense, and it'll just pop up. And there's other streamers that have certain gear like that, right?
Yeah. I mean,
all right.
Yeah,
that's it. That was my show and tell for tonight. It's my excitement. I wanted to. I just busted in through the door. Just wanted to show off. But I got some more, guys. I got some more. I got some maps and everything like that. I wanted to show you guys tonight. So we're gonna have a great time. I told you we're gonna have a banger of a night. So
yeah, we're gonna get this. Yeah. Get this way. All right, so let me go over the next tab then. So the next tab says that Arabs are not only brown, but some are very dark in color. Tall, this darkening of the skin, in spite of the ages-old tradition of the thick cloth covering the face, from the scorching sun. Indeed, not only did mulattoes consider themselves 100% Arabs or Arab, but jet black Africans who forebears were in Arabia for generations speak Arabic and call themselves Arabs, just as black Americans speak English and call themselves Americans. In both cases, neither the black Arab nor black American think he is white. To repeat, then blacks are in Arabia for precisely the same reasons blacks are in the United States, South America, and the Caribbean islands. What do you think about that?
I believe, yeah, I mean, this is something that's been talked about a lot. I mean, that is true. I think that I think Africa was the cauldron of society, but also Turkey also is also of cauldron of society as well, but much older. There's a huge age in Turkey as well, and that's something that we need to hit upon on our next stream. We need to talk about Turkey. Not right now because that's going to be a much longer stream. There's a lot of information out there about Turkey and what they're digging up out there is brand new. There's more stuff that they're coming out with. But right now we're talking about Africa, and it's just a mix. There's a huge mix, but mostly darker shades of skin. You know,
Mhm.
but I think there's light skin to really dark. And it's mostly for the adaptation to the sun. Our melatonin levels are I mean, I assume could be an adaptation so that maybe we evolved to adapt to the sun. Could that be a possibility? I mean, some scientists have alluded to that.
Like yeah, like instead of yeah being backwards, the opposite of what most people accept now. Yeah, I mean, I believe that too. Like I believe like what is the other possibility? Why is one way the right way?
Think
Like
about
why?
it this way: in Northern Ireland, they barely get any sun, and they're white as a ghost. Or in London, you go to London, England, and it's like cloudy all the freaking time. And if they get sun, it's like a celebration. You know, it's just amazing. So it's always cold and it's always cloudy or foggy, and it's just natural for the area to be that way. So people are just white as a ghost. I mean, they don't have the time to evolve. Their children don't evolve from. I mean, there's not enough sunlight to evolve for thousands of years if you're living up there. I mean, am I wrong?
Yeah, man. Like I said, I've read so many different arguments, and at the end of the day, to be honest with you, um,
I
it
mean,
just
all we have to do is Google how much sunlight does for the last 100 years. How much sunlight does England get in 360 days or in 1 month? And what is the longest time does England get sunlight? That's all you have to do is that, and it will tell you how much sunlight do they actually do receive. You know, is do
so
and they grow tomatoes in England. I know
see.
I grow tomatoes here.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. So remember, I was asking about the question about black, right? Like, what is the meaning behind black and stuff. So I think this will answer the question as far as what we'll get from Mr. Chancellor Williams. And this is the next tab. It says, an African is a member of the black race, and from times immemorial, he was known as such by all peoples of the world. Throughout this work, the term refers to blacks only. It should be noted also that I write about the African people, not African peoples. So I guess there's a difference in that.
Where
African.
is Africa on your map behind you? I mean, for some of the people that don't know where Africa is right now, I mean, let's assume people don't know where Africa is. Is that the continent? Just outline it with your finger.
Yeah.
And where's Morocco? Morocco is up north right there. And down below is Madagascar. That's Madagascar Island down the bottom right south.
Right here.
That's Madagascar down there, guys. All right. And the Middle East is off to the right. So everybody know where Africa is. We're gonna assume that nobody knows. Every I assume everybody knows because they went to school, but let's assume no. Some people don't know where it is. Just for the sake of the podcast, we're not calling you dumb. I mean, it's just sometimes people don't know. So it's good to have that map right there.
No, no, it's funny. It's funny you say that. But let me read, let me keep reading. It says, it should be noted also that I write about the African people, not African peoples, as Western writers do. I am dealing here with essentially one people, one race. If you please, the African race. In ancient times, African and Ethiopian meant the same thing. So listen, remember that African and Ethiopian meant the same thing, a black. This, of course, was before the Caucasians began to reorder the earth to suit themselves and found it necessary to take their birthright over the land of the blacks also. In line with this, some Western historians have recently wondered where the Africans came from. So that question you just asked was basically the same type of question. Like, what if, we adapted to the sun? You know, because there are myths that people lived in the caves. There are myths that people lived in underground in hollow earth. And if the sun makes you have brown skin, which is black skin, because it's light brown to dark brown, then um, wouldn't it just make sense that if you don't have no sun nearby, that you wouldn't have that color? I mean, it would to me.
Yeah. And for some of you that don't know today, this is the Sahara Desert. It's not in the North American region. It's not in America. It's in North Africa. As you can see, and encompass the whole northern portion. Egypt is located in the upper right-hand corner of Africa. That little bitty part up there that looks a little green. You see it, and there's the river. That's the Nile, right? The River Nile. It looks kind of green running down in Egypt. So, and it's all the way up there and just runs all the way down. It's a pretty long river. And you could see how little green it is up on the top in the north there. And it looks nice up there if you know some of the map. But that's all desert. Can you imagine getting lost in the middle of that desert? You will not survive that. We're talking about over 110 degrees in the daytime. You will burn to a crisp if you don't have water with you or you're underneath some shade somewhere. Who's going to survive that? And there are people that are dressed up from head to toe with face covering everything to keep themselves nice and cool. And that's where they live. But as you can see, between before 4,000 years ago, this is what it used to look like. The green Sahara, seven it says right here, 7,000 years ago. It used to look like that, and only because the earth tilted. And this is a normal thing. The earth tilted in that, and it's not like, oh my gosh, we did something to the earth. No, it's just a normal thing. The earth tilts. It does this every so many thousands of years. And is it going to happen anytime soon? It's a slow tilt. It just happens over time, and it's going to happen again. And this is something between Rebirth and I. We talked about this. Is is North Africa going to be green again? Are we going to wear a hat? Are we going to wear a hat, a green hat, and say, "Make Africa green again"?
Bro,
Rebirth.
it's so crazy, bro, is that not for nothing, man. They saying that there's and I don't know how true it is. I didn't look into it, but I keep seeing it pop up every now and then. They talk about some kind of what is it? Um separation of the continent, and is building another um piece of land, like it's separating off of Africa. I can't remember where it is. I have to look it up. I
That'd
could
be
probably
interesting.
let me see. I could probably chat GPT it real quick. Is there a break in the? Let's see, because I seen it pop up so many times, but um, I think they're calling it that Africa sits on a massive tectonic plate, but along the eastern side, there's a huge geological feature called the Eastern African Rift System. It runs from the Red Sea down through countries like Ethiopia, Kenya, and Tanzania.
There's Tanzania up north, right there. You see Tanzania, everybody? There it is.
Uh,
And there's Morocco right here.
Here, let me see something. Give me a link of what it looks like.
The Mediterranean Sea. And then you're going to have Israel right over here. Over to the right. And there's the Gaza Strip down here, that little piece right here. They actually lined it up. Here's Egypt. But this is how it used to look like at one time. It was all green a while back. And this is an artist's rendition of what it used to look like.
Man, people make things so hard. I said I just wanted to see a picture of it.
You guys want to see a beautiful photo of an artist that drew what Africa used to look like? I'm sure you could buy this somewhere. But Africa used to look like this in the Sahara Desert.
Yeah, because all the animals got along.
Here's some animals down here that had gone extinct. Down here, these are
But yeah,
consider prehistoric animals. They put in some prehistoric animals in here, but they're all together. They're going to the river to drink together as one. Even the predators, they drink together, and then they go eat each other in the jungle.
nah, them alligators would be waiting. That's where the alligators would be like,
Oh,
yeah.
You know what's funny is that even the alligator. Well, they have gators. I guess no, gators are saltwater, right? Crocodiles are saltwater, and alligators are freshwater. So, but the thing is, it's funny that even the predators respect each other when it comes to when they come. Also, they protect each other when it comes to being in there because they also have their babies.
Yeah, Mike messing up again.
National Geographic. It's been seen that in National Geographic that they seen the animals work together in protecting each other's young, and when they get close to the river, if any animal was a predator trying to attack.
Yeah.
So it's pretty amazing how nature works together. It doesn't happen all the time, but it's been witnessed. We see it. We see it on videos, and before AI ever came around. It's before AI, guys.
Yeah, those were the days. Yeah, you're definitely right about that. So the next tab is interesting. The next tab I have, it says it is well known, of course, that Ethiopian is the Greek rendering of black or the sunburnt people. So just know that when they use the word Ethiopian, for the Greek people, that meant they were black or sunburnt people.
Now, back then, Ethiopia covered most of the northern region. So, Guinea, Senegal, that didn't even really exist back in the day. All this separation right here is just showing you all this. And Nigeria was a really big area over here on the west side. So, Nigeria was the older country, and Ethiopia was a much older country. I don't know about Mauritania. I don't know what that is.
That's where you need to talk to Stig. Stig talks about the Ritschak structure there.
Biggs knows more about this area. This is amazing. All this mountain range, but this is all covered in sand right now. These are all mountain ranges.
Stig is the man on that. Oh, I'm trying to get to the next tab.
Is we're talking about David Stiggs.
Okay, so they have a okay. So right here it says the
in
development.
California.
Yeah, he's in California. And right here it says the development of writing, and it says it doesn't go back to anywhere where the Sumerians say 3200 BC or even the Egyptians, which is weird. Why wouldn't it start with the Egyptians? Let me see. I would probably have to go through this whole.
And they're saying that today's desert, there's no ancient lakes. There's no lakes in the northern Africa. But back in the day, there were some lakes.
Yeah, there was a lot of lakes at Stick said there was a lot of lakes there, and that's where you get the flood story at, and then when you get it after the water went away for a while, that's where you get the getting it back to normal and stuff like that.
Well, it's not uncommon to say that the shifting of the poles and not a great shifting, like the whole earth is going to wobble off its axis and we're going to be free floating and pretty much it's going to be the ice age again. No, that's just really extreme. It's a slow movement that it just shifts the poles, and all of a sudden things are going to be colder in the places that are hot, and then it's going to be warm in the places that are really hot, so it's just going to come down, and it's not going to be extremely hot in certain areas, and then it'll be hotter in other areas. So that means in those areas, so what's going to be the desert then? You know what I'm saying? If northern Africa is going to become the desert, then what's going to be the new desert? Right?
Yeah. All right. Hey, so here's something interesting. So a lot of these tabs in this book, I don't go over every single tab. I know there are a lot. I know when you seen it, you was like, "Yo, this is gonna take a long time." A lot of the tabs I can't go over because it requires me to read the whole paragraph and stuff like that. So I try. So what I like to do is after we get done with this.
Oh, you were gonna put your pipe in your mouth and sit in the corner and have the candlelight in the back and start reading to everybody.
No, I want to go back and read everything in here. That's how I refresh my memory. I'm always refreshing my memory with these.
I thought you were going to go into this like once upon a time. Welcome to Africa. You were going to do the James Earl Jones voice.
I should start doing it. Honestly, not for nothing. You know what I mean?
Do the Darth Vader voice.
Welcome to Africa. What are y'all trying to say? I don't know what you mean. What we trying to say? I'm just we going over a book. We going over the destruction of Black civilization. But hey, check this out. Here's a tab that I found interesting too. It says that it is said that religion in Cuba did not include ancestor worship. this ancestor worship thing is another one of those overdone myths about Africans. So you know how when people say that Africans all worship ancestors, you know how they always say that, especially here in America. If you're African, the Africans worship your ancestors. You watch a movie or a TV show, and they got an African people in there, a family in there. They're like, "Oh yeah, we worship our ancestors." Well, according to Chancellor Williams, this book right here, that's not true at all. That uh that it's an
What does he say?
overdone myth. He says it's an overdone myth about Africans. So he says this is exactly what he said.
Maybe it's just an American thing. Maybe it's a American thing. Maybe the black people in America didn't want to lose their roots. They didn't want to lose their roots, and pretty much what they did so they wouldn't lose their root because they weren't allowed to have books. They weren't allowed to read. They weren't allowed to remember their heritage. Here in America, they were slaves. Let's just call it what it is. They weren't
What?
weren't
Well,
treated they weren't treated right in America. So they had to do something. They had to sing to remember their heritage. It sounded like they were worshiping their ancestors so they can teach their young, their children who their ancestors were here in America. But I agree. I agree with Dr. Chancellor that that wasn't a common thing in Africa, but they didn't suffer what the Americans, Black Americans, were suffering during the time of slavery.
look, hey, so check this out. So I didn't even put a tab on this, but it goes into exactly what you was talking about. It says there was ancestor reverence, not ancestor worship. So there was ancestor reverence, but not ancestor worship.
I wonder who started that myth. Who wrote that myth
It
about
says
Africans worshiping?
it says this reverence for elders began in early life with the living and increased with the dead. When food was periodically placed at the graves, nobody expected the ancestral spirits to eat it. It only fools outside of Africa alleged that they did. What they were doing was a demonstration that the communal spirit of sharing was being maintained. Furthermore, if the ancestors approved their behavior, they were in a position to intercede on their behalf with their deities in times of crisis. So this is
Um,
not.
AK Barda. How do we say your name? Akabarda. Write down what your name is.
It seems like Akbarda atheist
Akbarda.
killer.
Yeah. But how do you want us to call you? Just write down what you want us to call you. I'm sorry that we're not pronouncing your name correctly. We want to make sure we pronounce your name correctly.
But see, look, yeah. So here's another important part because this is interesting too. It says the blacks' conception of God was on a scale too grand to be acceptable to Western minds. They had to reduce it by using a term that is equated with paganism, primitive, backwardedness,
Okay.
and barbarism. The word is animism. Okay, but the historian and anthropologist are witnesses against themselves, still proving the very opposite of what they intend in documenting animism as the chief of characteristic of the religion of the blacks from remotest times. They are also documenting the fact that the blacks believe in the existence as well as the nature of one universal God also goes back to times in
So 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 what is Dr. Chancellor specifically writing that about? All of Africa or specifically a certain area of Africa that he was boots on the ground in? Do we know?
I'm sure it's just mostly places he's been to because all his research that I know of personally of him is where he went to go visit and he was able to talk to the people himself there. So this is
Okay.
so yeah. So
Let me see what areas there he was in.
while you're doing that, I'll go to the next tab. Because yeah, it's a lot of information in this book, man. I would say this, Africa goes back thousands and thousands and thousands, hundreds and thousands and millions of years ago. A civilization, it all depends on uh, that. Um, People don't understand that there's more history in Africa than there is in all other places. And we know that because of the simple fact of all the things that we found. We found, uh, I believe it's ostrich eggshells or some type of bones or something like that that goes back. Some people have dated almost 75,000 years ago, give or take. You know, I've heard there's you have the napta playa stones that were lined up for astronomical stuff. You have not. I don't even like talking about the pyramids in Egypt because we have more pyramids in Sudan than we have in Egypt and Nigeria. I mean, I've had plenty of books that I've read around the Yoruba religion and tribe that their history goes back 15,000 years easy, 15 at least. Um, so
Okay,
um,
so I wanted to
this
bring
is
up.
interesting because Akbarda says 75,000 years ago, even white people's ancestors were still in Africa. That's not true at all because I actually did a podcast discussion with Dr. Keith Chang, and he is the founder of actually what people call is considered the white gene. It's SLC24A5, and he found this gene not because he was trying to find out whether black or white people came to be. He's trying to find a cure for skin cancer, and he found this certain gene in the human body that shows that the where the white gene came from. So 75,000 years, not even close, and that's talking to a geneticist at that. So that's pretty interesting. Um,
Agreeable.
huh?
Yep, that's true. Yeah,
Oh, you looked it up?
you can look it up. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a fact.
yeah, I know because I actually talked to the dude who found the gene. Like I literally had a podcast discussion. He was on good. He's been on Good Morning America and all these other different networks, and he took the time out of his day to talk to me. And we had about an hour and a half podcast discussion.
Now,
Um,
what was happening in Africa, the migration was more towards the Middle East than it is towards the north or
yeah,
crossing the sea or the river because it was so much more difficult to cross a dangerous sea. You know, the
well,
sea was really rough. I mean, it's not an easy crossing, especially the way the sea, the movement of the sea when it reaches a certain point, it turns in and then the sea up north turns in as well. So you got the sea that goes like this and then goes towards North America. So when it comes off of Africa, it doesn't go straight up. You know, when the flow of the ocean goes up, and when you navigate and I sail sailboats, it goes like this. So when you have that current, we're talking about currents because you have the help of the currents and also the winds. That current takes you out and you're gone.
yeah, right
And
here.
now you discovered South America. So
Yeah.
so these, you know, people didn't, if they didn't have the education of the sea, yeah, they would be lost at sea. You would have the fabled dragon ate you alive out there in the sea because they never come back.
No, it's interesting you say that because that's why I like haplogroups. I looked into haplogroups, and haplogroups basically tell you
Big
um,
waves look like dragons.
it, it basically tells you where people migrated from. Like the oldest haplogroup is in Central Africa, and it shows you where people migrated from that haplogroup. But what's so interesting to me is that the oldest Homo sapien bones found on this planet so far was found in Morocco, Africa. There's a peer reviewed article and it goes back 300,000 years ago. Okay. But the oldest haplogroup, if you look up the oldest haplogroup real quick, you'll be shocked about the time frame of Morocco, Africa, and the oldest haplogroup, which is dedicated to somewhere in Central Africa. And you know, there's right now I know that what is it, the Croatian people, the
And
sand
in
people that
Turkey
they're also no, they're in Africa. They
or in
have one
Africa.
of the oldest haplogroups still available right now. So what I like to do is I like to look at haplogroups, and the reason why is because haplogroups would tell you exactly where everybody migrated from one place to the next. And if you look, like I said, if you look at the oldest haplogroup and you compare it to Morocco, Africa, the oldest Homo sapien bones that you found on this planet, you'll be like, whoa, wow, that's crazy, right? And it's also amazing because the definition that uh, trying to describe a civilization is no different in the same difficulty on describing what a human is, because people will say a Homo erectus was a human. Some people will say that Australopithecus afarensis or Australopithecus ramidus was a human or a type of human. Then you have some people say the Gigantopithecus, and you got the Neanderthals, and all these other Denisovans. They'll say, "Oh, that's a human-like individual," and this that. So the argument with that is just is
Now,
it's crazy.
the in northern Morocco and in those areas, they do share that coastline. Morocco and Tunisia
Mm.
share the coastline to Europe. So as Akbar was asking the DNA, and this was back 10,000 years ago. It's been seen in the DNA profile, and I don't have details on the DNA profile, but there is movement and mixing with other groups from Europe with the African continent. So, especially when it comes to trade routes along the coastline. So, Europeans started coming into Africa from the north up there. But which I find fascinating is okay, so we're talking about Africa used to be green at one time, right? If it was so green, why didn't white people in general cross all over Africa? Why didn't a large population of Europeans travel throughout the northern region of Africa? That's a good question there.
Well, see, this is the thing. Let me ask you this: are you thinking Europeans as white individuals?
Iceland,
Yeah,
Greenland,
what's their skin color?
yeah, pale white like a ghost.
Yes, see, that's the
Yeah.
thing. Uh, the first Europeans, the first
They
Icelanders,
think they look like zombies that just came out of the ground
they
because they don't
weren't
get
they
that
weren't
enough. They don't get enough sun.
they weren't pale skinned individuals though. The first European was actually a black African individual, somebody who came from Africa, right? And then and I get what you're saying when people hear the word European, that's the first thought that comes to their mind is that it had to been somebody white or Caucasian like. Um,
So we're
most.
we're we're talking more um like Spain, the mixing of people from Spain, Portugal, coming down to because that I
But
think
you can see.
majority of the trade routes are with Spain. Actually, Spain did most of the trade because they're mostly a trade route country. Portugal was they based their whole country off of trade routes and
Yeah,
sailing. Portugal was a big master of sailing. And you could see if you look at Portugal, they're not like a big massive country. They are just basically seafaring country and they made all their money off of trade. So they traveled everywhere. In fact, they believe that Portugal landed in North America. Don't quote me on it because I'm not ready to be throwing up information that is from textbooks right now. And that'll be another podcast. But I have read before from my university that Portugal was able to travel all the way up north, and they were here first, along with the Vikings. They were here even before that, and even the Vikings were like, we don't need to be this far in because we need to go back home because they were fighting their own wars. You know what I'm saying? They
yeah.
were just looking for food and leather and just resources. In Portugal, same thing. Everybody that travels around, they're just looking for more resources.
Yeah. So the next tab that I have, which is interesting, is because people always talk about, well, Africans were selling Africans, and that's why you
Oh
should
my
be
goodness.
visiting.
Oh, I
Yeah.
have a whole load of stuff on that.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you understand what was going on in Africa, if the African continent went from a desert, I mean, they went from green, lush green with a whole lot. So, let's say Africa was abundant and there was more black Africans than there were white people across the whole earth at one time. That means the African black Africans were higher in number. Their civilization was the one that everybody based the economy off of, trade routes off of. That means that their the market was based off of them. I don't know if I'm repeating myself, but I'm trying to emphasize on that it wasn't off of the European market, but Africans had their own market. And they weren't basing their market off of the European market. And this is where things get really rough. Okay. If the Sahara Desert started appearing, what would it do? It would start pushing all those people. It'll start killing people. When the shift of the tilt of the earth starts occurring and it starts getting hot, all these people that are used to arid, beautiful weather, lush green, all the farmlands starting to die off, it'll start pushing people downward, going south. So what is going to happen if a bunch of millions of Africans start traveling downward? What do you think they're going to run into? Huh, Rebirth? Who are they going to run into? The Northern Africans are going to run into what? Central Africans.
Yeah.
And what are Central Africans are going to do to the Northern Africans? This is their land, their water, their clean water. This is their food. You think they're going to be open arms? Oh, cousins, welcome. No, more Africans in Central Africa. It means dirty water. You guys have been to big cities before, right? When has a river ever been clean in a big city? Never. Never. I have never seen clean water. In every big city I have traveled around the world, not a single river has ever been clean.
Mhm.
Never. You cannot drink out of it. You cannot bathe in it. I've been to Iquitos, Peru, and that's not even a big city. And the waters were nasty, nasty because people pee and poop in it. It's nasty. Okay. And this is what happens when population increases. So imagine a lot of Northern Africans coming down. So what do you think Central Africans are going to do to Northern Africans? Are they going to kill them off? They're going to fight them, right? This is where the 1,000-year war is going to begin, where
Hmm.
this continuous war that we keep hearing about. When did it all start? It started a long time ago. And then where did slavery come from? How did Africans started trading slaves of their own people? Why did they do it? Well, too many people going to one place could have spurred off this action. They may have turned against their own people, not knowing the implication of the future. They didn't see the future. They didn't think, oh my gosh, we just encouraged more of the black slavery market. They didn't see that. Weren't thinking that. They thought, we're getting rid of a problem and we're making money off of the side. We're getting resources. That's the whole idea. They're not thinking the stock market. They're not thinking about the world organization. Who this is wrong, this is right. They don't have any of that stuff. That's not going through their minds. They don't think wrong or right on this. They're thinking about what's going to be best for their family when this is going to happen. You know,
It's so funny you say that because one thing about me, anybody who follows me knows that I just like reading from books. So what you just basically said is basically what he says in this book, and I'll read it off because I actually have it tabbed up.
Akbar wants sources.
Yeah, and this is a good source right here too. From Chancellor Williams himself. He says the sale of male content into slavery did not end the civil
Hit the book.
strife because, for
It's a
one
really good book.
thing, all the rebels were neither captured nor defeated. Besides, the permanent center of conflict was in the royal lineage itself. Okay. So, this is what he says. He says, so I'm saying that while at first the African slave sellers may not have known the fate to which they were co-signing their brothers in time, they did learn. And for this reason, these blacks will stand condemned forever before the bar of history. King Ma Mubo, along with others. So basically, what he was saying was, uh, because right here it says the traders and missionaries were the first to take over the country by first allying themselves with opposing chiefdoms and opposing royal factions, urging on each to keep up the fight against the others. Indeed, the missionaries in Cuba were missionaries of damnation, not salvation. They wore the deceptive garb of religion, but their activities were not only almost wholly political, but were concerned with furthering the disintegration and collapse of this little black nation. So people, they were fighting against each other, just like you said. They were fighting against each other, and it caused a destruction of a group of people. And it even goes right here. It says up to the 16th century, the people were calling slaves were not slaves in the modern sense, but laborers either captured as prisoners of war or persons imprisoned for various offenses. During the first stages of slave trade, many African chiefs and kings actually thought they were supplying workers needed abroad and at a great profit to themselves. They had not had experience with the white man's slave system or equation with race. Not at first, we have said, but as the decades passed, and the Congo state is a good example, many Africans became enmeshed in the horrors of the trade, knew what they were doing, and in the pursuit of guns and riches became as brutal as the whites in dealing with their own kind. So basically, slave trade in Africa started as if somebody was if there was an African that was a slave to another African tribe, it was because of some type of war or disagreement or fighting or something like that. And uh, the chiefs at that time, according to Chancellor Williams, they wanted to, because you still have to feed your slaves, you still got to feed them. They took, in matter of fact, in Yoruba tradition, a slave is damn near almost a family member. They're just not considered family. That's the only thing that they're not. They get treated as a family member. They get fed, clothed, made sure everything's taken care of. They're just not a family member, and that's why they have the word slave. But uh, for these individuals, from Chancellor Williams himself, he says that they were captured individuals of some sort, right? And that the chiefs would send them to the white people, and that's how it became the slave trade. And then when they, the chiefs and other people started really uh, paying attention, they realized what was happening during the slave trade, which is very interesting. You know, um, I just know that the word slave is not the same everywhere. Like it can mean one thing one place, and it can mean something else somewhere else. It doesn't have to mean what it means here in America. It can mean something totally different. So we're almost done with these tabs, so we can end the show in a minute.
I'm gonna
Uh,
share a link. Let me see. I don't know if I could share it right here or let me see.
it ain't gonna pop up.
Oh, no? Okay. All right. So if you go to Khan Academies, uh, KHAN
I know what you're
Academy
talking about.
dot
Yeah,
org. It's
it's
and
a real respectable website, reputable website.
yeah, and they do talk about the how the northern Africa came to, and how the warring factions. They actually documented all the warring factions, and which ones enslaved each other into slavery, and which ones sent them off too. And also, they done DNA with
Yeah,
it.
that's what. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is that in Chancellor Williams' time, in this time frame, they didn't have DNA, but now they have DNA and haplogroups. They can tell,
I even
who.
did DNA. My family comes from off the coast of Africa, and also we are Spanish and in other parts of areas up there in European. So we are light skin. I'm light skin. I'm right now. I'd have no sun. If I stay in the sun, I'll get a little darker. But I am considered brown skin. But I have black in my family. Actually, I have my great grandmother is black. So she is black, but is the only one that's black in my family. And my great grandfather married her, and he's light skinned from Spain. So
uh, so check this out. This is another tab. I thought this was a really good tab. It says that the people we call Jews indiscriminately are Hebrews by race and Jews by religion. Anyone can be a Jew, but not a Hebrew. The Hebrews and the Arabs are both white Semitic peoples, and
Medic
no Semitic. Yeah, I don't know why I say that.
or
Semitic people.
shepherd or shepherd. What's that? What's the word? You know what I'm talking about? Shepherdic, or
No,
not Semitic, but Shepherdic.
nope.
They come from Israel, but they're not fully a Jew. They kind of left Israel, but now they encompass all of Europe. They're European Jews. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
So,
basically,
so there's the word right there. Sativa just answered it. Safard. I don't even know how to pronounce it. I have that in my family too. I have that. I did a deep dive into my DNA. I'm not even. I don't even go to temple. No, no, I'm mostly Catholic. So believe it or not, we have that in our family as well.
all right, here comes up to the last two tabs. Hold on, let's see. Let's see. Okay, so this is just about the biographical notes. So
Sephardic,
nothing.
Sephardic, Sephardic.
So nothing really. So that's the end of it. So yeah. Like I said, man, like what I like to do is I like to read the books for myself. I take the book, I read it for
Oh, you
myself.
love reading, dude. I mean, I don't even have tabs in my book.
Yep, those are the tabs right there. Things that I found interesting. I don't never have to argue with anybody about what I know because all I got to do is just go to my library and grab a book and say, "Look, you see these tabs? This is what I know."
Oh
So if you
yeah.
think I'm wrong on something, you're gonna have to, at bare minimum,
I'm gonna
understand that I'm not. I'm never wrong, and what I mean that I'm never wrong is that I'm gonna go to your source and read the same thing and add that to my memory bank. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna share my screen real quick.
It's so funny for that Akbar, the atheist killer, says I should read more academic stuff. I literally have a playlist on my YouTube. You're probably not under my YouTube channel, but I literally have a playlist under my YouTube channel called "What I've Learned from Reading This Book." So this is not one book that I've done. This is all. This is like the 80th or 90th book that I did out of 1,000 books that I've owned. So I'll never be able to get through every single book that I own. I just pick a book from my library and I just say, hey, I'm going to go over this, or I'm just
But
going to
if you're
go over that.
interested in knowing more about the slave trade and how the European, and it's not just specifically Europeans either. We're talking about Arab nations. We're talking about North. This was a huge thing throughout thousands of years, and it wasn't just specifically a European thing. This was like a worldwide thing in that specific part of the world. And so, and Africans partook in it because it answered a problem that they had. Instead of killing their own cousins, they traded them in for goods, which is horrifying for us. I mean, I wouldn't trade my own kid and I wouldn't trade my own kin for goods and resources. I think it would be a horrifying thing to do. But that's just me and my family. But I mean, for them, this was like I mean, you have to listen to your leaders in the tribe, and the leaders decided this is what we need to do. We can't be taking in more population, especially if the culture is different. And as an anthropologist, when one culture clashes with another, and we started this stream, we asked, what is a cultural society? It is who rules on top of the other is what makes a cultural society. And that's what they did. They ruled on top of the other cultural society. That is the Northern Africans that came in because they lacked. If the Sahara Desert, and I'm saying if because I wasn't living back then, and this is and people that study in Africa believe from heart and soul that Africa used to be green. I didn't study African knowledge, but they believe because they have proof and geology and everything like that. It used to have trees. It used to have grass. There used to be farmland up north in the Sahara Desert. That used to be arid. And also there's people that have done this whole deep dive on how the earth was tilted at a certain angle and all that stuff. But my question is, where was the desert when that was green? That's my question. You know what I'm saying? If there's a desert now, there's got to be a desert back then, because if the earth was tilted a certain way, then now it's tilted another way and created that desert, then there was a desert somewhere else. And I question that. So that means either more towards the central part of Africa was more desert, or was Europe more desert? I don't know. What does this mean? I mean, I'm a little confused about Africa. Maybe more southern was more desert. I'm really confused about this, and
Mhm.
I'm kind of split on this, and I'm here to speak for you, the viewers, because you're not speaking in this thing. I'm speaking for you. So I'm actually thinking like you. Where was the desert when the Sahara Desert wasn't around? Do you have that answer? Rebirth?
You know, because the dates are always different. There's an accepted, and then there's the conspiracy theories.
It's a scale. Everything is a scale. You take away, the scale is gonna unbalance. So
Hmm.
always, when there's one side taken, another side needs to be filled. It can't be unbalanced. The earth cannot be unbalanced. It is proven. When one side of the earth is one way, then the other side of the earth is going to be another way. So somewhere is going to be a desert. So where on earth was the desert if that was green?
Yeah.
How much of that was green? I'm going to say that not all of it was green. I'm going to say some of it was desert, and the majority of the north was green in that area. So I'm thinking, like, let's say for instance, this whole northern area right here was green, and then most of this was desert, and then all of a sudden it was green like towards the center, and then all of a sudden the sun or the tilt made all of this more desert. I'm gonna assume that, because I can't say that the whole thing was there. I think it was just like a moon, like how the moon moves. Like there's a half moon, there's a short, like the light just transforms slowly throughout when the earth moves. It's got to be that way. I don't know. I'm not a geologist, but and I don't I didn't graduate on whether I'm a sociologist. So I mean I study anthropology, so that's pretty much my area, and I study people. So my area of study is how people react if they are taken away in a certain location, and then they head to a certain other location because things are being taken away from them, and they fight
Hmm.
for it. That's pretty much where my area of expertise is. And that's what I've been explaining this whole time. But if this is a fact, and what Dr. Chancellor is talking about is a fact, then I have questions. Like the people on here, I have a question, and I'm slamming my hand on the table. I have questions. And the late Dr. Chancellor is not around to answer it. Rest in peace. He's a good man. He died when he was 98 years old in 92. He didn't get a chance to see how our politics changed and what has happened and everything like that. But, I'm sure he would write another book for sure. But, I mean, where was the desert? If there was no desert there, then where was the desert before that? And that's another good question.
Right on, right on. So right there, we'll end it right there then.
Are we
Um,
ending it? Oh my gosh.
yeah,
I
yeah.
figure we are going to answer some questions.
Nah, uh, we just have Akbar in here. I seen him pulling up on there.
All
Um,
right. And
I'm gonna stay in
also
contact.
we have Sativa as well. Thank you, Sativa. I appreciate it. Thank you for correcting me on how to say Sephardic, Sephardic.
Right.
So
No,
Sephardic
well,
Jew.
yeah. So yeah, we'll end it there. I already sent you a copy of the next book. I'll probably do another live. What's it? Today's Friday. I'll probably do one next Wednesday or Thursday because I'm going somewhere next Wednesday, next Thursday. I'm going boots on ground somewhere. I just don't know where to do with it.
Hell yeah, man. Are you going to go live when you go boots on ground, or are you just recording?
I might start going live. I haven't decided yet. So yeah, I'm thinking about doing.
I got my hat and everything. I'll go with you. All right, let's go.
Yeah, you geared up, bro. Yeah. So I'm at the end of the stream. I appreciate everybody listening. Hey, don't leave, Fat Jesus. Give it a few seconds.
Yeah. I'll hang out with you.
Yeah. Until next time, knowledge is power.
Yeah, and share this stream to everybody, all your friends and family and everything. Share this knowledge so that they can research it and share it out with everybody else. And hopefully, somebody from a university will expand on it, and that's how knowledge is spread out, man. This is important, some little bit here, some little bit there. This is how we send forth cultural knowledge. And when we give it to somebody else, especially a kid that is 20 years old, 21 years old, writing a paper in college or university, is going to go ahead and forward this and then make another paper. And this is how it works, because Dr. Chancellor is no longer on Earth. Somebody else needs to pick up the pieces and needs to write another book. Right?
Yep. Perfectly said. Yep. All right. Well, here we go.
Thank you so much for watching.
Yes. Appreciate it. Here's the outro.
Got a little hype now. Can I let it die down? I remember days in the trench. Time to go hard in. Time to go all in. Time to get my all to this shit. Panamera maxed out. First class flights out Atlantic to Pacific.
That's right. Oh. Yeah.